because, you know, we're smart. But it always comes back to this optics shit. Like, we should care about what conservatives and fascists think about us. If it's the left's fault that Joe Rogan gets taken off Spotify and Nazis are frothing at the mouth, why should I care? I would simply have a celebratory wank. But no,
So it's really funny and telling, I feel like, that he says he'd rather have a celebratory, that's a hard word to say, celebratory wank. Because honestly, that's what this entire video is. That's what all of kind of like everything that he's doing is. It's this whole like, oh, I'm better than you. I've always had the right opinions, all that stuff, right? He really is just kind of like, you know, metaphorically, intellectually jerking himself off. You know, I just kind of explained the whole optics situation and then gave a pretty good example, I think, as to why that's important. But yes, when you live in a society amongst other people, it is important how other people view you and your group of people, as it were. This is especially true for minorities and people like that, but as we'll come to find here as we continue, DJ Mule really doesn't care about minorities either.
The reason that they talk about optics all the time is because they think that you can win fascists over to our side with good optics.
Okay, I will say quickly, no, you can't necessarily win people that like have their heels so far dug in that they're not coming back. I do believe for most people though, I kind of talked about this before, but like most people aren't really on the right or the left per se. They're kind of more so in the okay. They're more so kind of like in the medium, in the middle. And, you know, you can talk about how kind of the Overton window has, you know, shifted and things like that. And that's valid to bring up as well. But the reality is most people aren't like, you know, steadfast in what they believe and what they stand for, so to speak. So yes, it is important to challenge people's beliefs, especially if they're harmful. Like, this guy's method of like, you know, abstemiousness is just not conducive to real life problem solving at all.
Trying to see how this is all a circle gang, debate Nazis, have good optics, destroy all the lefties who have bad optics. So let's get into that last part. In this video, Xanderhal talks about his editor, Cherrybread TV, who did a tweet about a bunch of online slang used by queer people, specifically trans people.
Alright, let's go over what this tweet is. Boy modder femboys who take estrogen are more trans than passoids who don't take any kind of HRT and are more true than non-binary Huns who go by binary pronouns as well as pre-transition egg femboys. I'm going to be honest, this has to be the most terminally online thing I've ever read. I don't know anything about Cherrybread TV, but holy shit, what the fuck does any of that mean? A problem, though, with a lot of Zan's videos that or not Zan's videos, but with DJ Mule's video here, you'll notice when he does all these videos kind of against Xan and stuff like this, he will very specifically not talk, or he'll talk over like Xan talking, he'll talk over Xan's videos, but he doesn't actually play the audio for what Xan's actually saying. There's going to be many times where you might be watching this thinking, as I often am and will verbalize, show the clip or context or source or something like that, because he just doesn't provide any. But I mean, you know, of course, it's easier to lie and gaslight your audience that way, so I don't blame him. If I was trying to lie and gaslight my audience, I probably wouldn't want to show proof either.
people. He then goes on to say that the cancellation that they received for this was outrageous and people lost their minds over it, which he then uses to catapult himself into a rant about how all LGBTQIA plus people online, specifically those that criticize Vosh and other debate bros, are mentally ill and abuse victims and for some reason need online internet points to feel good about themselves. It's extremely fucked up and just more evidence that whenever him and any of his debate bro friends use the term woke scold, what they actually mean is person that is holding me to account. Guess this is my...
Sorry, there's a fly in here. No, that's not what woke scold means. I kind of went over it before, but basically woke scolds are... I mean, what the fuck did that tweet mean? Whatever that was that Cherry Bread was saying, like, so many of those terms, like, what does that mean? Yeah, that is 100% a like, you know, tweet terminally online thing for internet points, because like it doesn't really mean any. Yeah, you can see the fly flying around now. That's great. It doesn't really mean anything. Like, I don't know. It I am, you know, kind of part of this scene, as it were, and I don't know what any of that meant. I can go back to it and tell you what it sounds like to me. Here. What it sounds like is, well, I mean,
specifically
for one, it honestly sounds like they're just being a true scum. And I know that's a terminally online term too, but at least I know what a true scum is and can explain it. Basically, a true scum is someone who has the mentality that you're not a real trans if you haven't medically transitioned. So, boy mod or femboy, I don't know. That's what it comes off to me, right? Let me try to like translate this into like, you know, normie speak. Trans guys, trans men, trans whatever, who only socially transition, who socially transition and take estrogen are more trans than, you know what, here, I'm gonna, so you can follow along with me here. Okay, so we're gonna try and break this down piece by piece. I notice it's also just one sentence too, but in any case, so I'm thinking this first part means, all right, trans guys who, we'll say men, trans men who socially transition, as well as take, wait, no, estrogen. This would be, you can't, never mind, I can't analyze this. And I'm glad Zan did, because, like, I wonder if there's a clip of Zan going over this. Let me see if we can find anything. I'll just do Cherry Bread. Doing, oh God, I wish I could find that video. Yeah, it is Cherry Bread TV. Okay, Cherry Bread TV. Insane, no. 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 Here you can see stuff that's recommended to me this way. And some stuff that I've watched. No, okay, never mind. I can't. Anyway, whatever. But whatever it is, I'm glad Zan covered it, because I have no idea. But to me, it comes off as very, woke scoldy, very true scummy. You know, if you're not taking hormones, you're not really. Yeah, I mean, they even use the word passoids, which to me that just sounds like a derogatory term for people who are like not on, who don't take any kind of HRT and are more. Yeah. So it's like, people who are not taking hormones, but are, passing because, they are their, the gender they identify with, and they, are perceived as that gender as well by people because you look the part, so to speak, right? They've socially transitioned. Yeah, I mean, it seems to me like they're just being um, what's referred to as a true scum, somebody who like, oh, you're not really trans if you haven't medically transitioned, or a trans medicalist. They're also called. Anyway, moving on. I
people.
can't.
He then goes on to say that the cancellation that they received for this was outrageous and people lost their minds over it.
Did he
Which he
receive
then uses to
cancellation?
catapult himself into a rant about how all LGBTQIA plus people online, specifically those that criticize Vosh and other debate bros, are mentally ill and abuse victims and for some reason need online internet points to feel good about themselves. It's extremely fucked up and just more evidence that whenever him and any of his debate bro friends use the term woke scold, what they actually mean is person that is holding me to account. Guess this is my big woke scold moment, eh, Zanny boy?
Actually, yeah, this is kind of your big woke scold moment because, well, yeah, I mean, you're kind of being like, okay, some common takes from woke scolds, for example, that I think are just ridiculous are you'll get certain people that will go so far in directions of like, oh, it's ableist if you use language like insane. Like if you say, whoa, that's crazy, or whoa, this is insane, something like that. That's an example of woke scold. I guess we haven't really seen anything like specific that kind of shows DJ Mule here as a woke scolding, as it were, but it's coming up. It's coming up. Yeah, we'll see. It's not great. I'm kind of getting to a point going through this though where it's like, I'm kind of just repeating myself at this point because a lot of and I mean he's repeating himself too, so it is what it is, right? But like a lot of stuff that I feel like I'm just going in circles, kind of giving the same criticisms because he's just giving the same criticisms over and over again, and I have to like refute the same criticisms and such. So anyway, whatever.
So, huge thing to point out here, claiming that all LGBTQIA plus people are victims of abuse
which is not what they were saying. Okay, here we go. So, the argument that people like Zan and Vosh were making when they say this kind of thing, these woke scolds have to, woke scold people on the internet because they're mentally ill and need some kind of internet brownie points. That is not saying LGBT people in general are woke scolds, nor is it saying that they are in general or inherently mentally ill or anything like that. That is saying the kind of people that are participating in this specific woke scold behavior are, have something with them mentally that is just not, working properly. And I think that's valid. I think, there are definitely, faculties of the mind that just aren't all there for some people that just really fly off the handle at other people online and in real life. I think that's valid. That's not to say like, you know, they should be made fun of or anything like that. That's just saying that it's a valid criticism. Maybe they do have some kind of, mental health issues that need to be worked out or something. That fly is climbing on my leg. Oh my god, this damn fly. It's gonna. We're joined by a fly now, guys. Hope you enjoy.
a huge right-wing conservative talking point, and it's actually
Good thing it's not the point that they were making.
the basis for conversion therapy. Conversion therapists tend to point out people's abuse as a reason for them being queer. Not enough attention from daddy? Well, you became gay to get attention from other men. Not enough attention from mum? Well, you became gay to fill the feminine-shaped hole in your life. Not all queer people are victims of abuse.
Not what they're saying. Not remotely what they're saying. And I just want to point out as well, and this is like an actual thing that happens. Yes, it is true that certain proclivities and oftentimes people who have certain, fetishes and things like that sexually, may have experienced some type of trauma. That doesn't mean that everybody who has those fetishes have experienced trauma, but it is a valid thing to look at and say, okay, well, you have this proclivity of some sort because of this trauma you went through. That's not necessarily it's a bad thing that trauma happened, but like that's not like a dig on them. That's just saying, that's just like looking at their mental faculties and just trying to kind of use psychological reasoning to understand what's going on. But the thing here is DJ Mule uses this as a way to attack people like Zan and Vosh and people who will kind of, point out things like this. That because, it's true that a lot of people who are like, they have really like depressing, sad lives otherwise, they get that hit of dopamine because they put some, controversial tweet or whatever, and they get like a ton of likes or something. And it is a very real thing that happens. It's a fair thing. It's a valid thing worth criticizing. It's not criticizing and making fun of the people that are doing it. It's just saying like, hey, these people that are participating in this kind of behavior, maybe they're not really all there. Maybe not necessarily handle them with kid gloves, but just kind of like take what they say with kind of a grain of salt. Don't like, they're not, I don't know, I'm trying to think of like a philosopher, they're not like Socrates or something like that.
And not all victims of abuse are queer. It's a huge false cause fallacy. Correlation is not causation. There's a lot more extremely telling points in this video, so I'm just gonna list all of them off real quick. Xanderhal says at the start of this video that his editor is a quote-unquote bit of a memer, and then immediately talks about how the meme they posted is how, quote, the trans community online is toxic and gatekeepy, which is all in all true for most communities online. It's just interesting how painting this as exclusively a trans problem is his main aim here.
He's not. He's saying the online trans community, the terminally online, very entrenched trans community, can be super toxic. And yeah, you can ask people, you can say that a community itself is toxic without saying everybody in the community is toxic. I can give you some examples of some toxic communities. One that I'm personally a part of. Two, actually. The community for the, I talked about it before, the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise. That community is super toxic. So is the one for Spider-Man. So is Star Wars. So is anything. All communities have people in them that are toxic, and the most toxic people are the loudest. The most toxic people make everybody in the community look bad from the outside. But you don't have, no one's going after and saying, oh, Star Wars is terrible because the community's bad. There's enough people in the community that understand, okay, there's some really toxic people in the fan base, but for the most part, it's pretty all right. And in this instance, Zan is not saying, and again, notice how DJ Mule is playing like the footage of Zan talking, but he's not having the actual audio play. Zan is not saying how trans people in general are bad. He is explaining that the community that is fostered through the way that the internet works and everything and attracts the trans people, oftentimes the people in those communities are just insufferable. And yeah, they are, because any type of niche community you find online is going to have people who are absolutely insufferable. Speaking of insufferable, back to DJ Mule.